You scroll through hundreds of job descriptions, but they all sound the same. You spend so much time on every application, but it doesn't seem to matter. You send off application after application, but never hear back. You thought the interview went so well, but it's a no. You jump through all the hoops. The news keeps saying how there are all these employers that are struggling to find people to hire. So why does finding a great job have to be so hard? It doesn't seem very logical or fair. It's not. The system is broken. It's not your fault. The process most people go through to get a job is awful. But here's the good news. The system isn't very smart. In fact, it's downright dumb. It can be beaten. How? Most prospective employers and employees today are using the same old tired strategies that have been around forever. It's like professional camouflage. Everybody just blends into the crowd. But you don't have to be that way anymore. You can get traction. You can stand out from the crowd to unleash your God-given potential, to help a world in need, to do work that matters, to earn what you and your family deserve. You can do this. You're meant to do this. There are bright things on the horizon for you. This is the way. This is the way, folks, because you are here to get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope. My name is Eric Woodard. I'm a high-performance career and leadership coach based out of Washington, D.C. And if you're here on this Tuesday after Labor Day, I just really want to honor you and appreciate you. You could be doing a lot of things with your valuable time, and you're here, right? And what a great time to be looking for a job. Summer's over, and like so many bright things on the horizon for you. So if you would put in the chat two things. One, where you're from, and two, how long have you been on the job search? Because I want to know. And I see Brent and Gabriel and Hamal and Quinn and Jacob. I'm so glad you're here. But if you would put how long you've been on the job search and where you're from, if you would please, because we're about to get started without any further delay. Because sometimes, Charles in Chicago, being on a job search, hey there, Dario and Rio, and Raphael in Lisbon, and Matthew and Chris in Minneapolis, and Mark in Boston, and Terrell in Raleigh. Sometimes being on a job search can feel like pounding sand, Catherine in Florida. Sometimes Rhonda here in the DMV, and Sagar in Atlanta, and Phyllis in the Midwest, right? It can feel like waiting on a glacier, Sherry in North Carolina. Sometimes it can feel like wandering in the desert, Yale in Seattle, and David in Houston, and Tony in Mesa. Sometimes it can feel like wandering into an arena, Clint, right, in Birmingham, and David in Georgia, and Gabrielle in Sao Paulo. We got a couple of Brazilians here. We got Justin in Mesa again, Katrina in Minneapolis. Sometimes it can feel like looking into an abyss. Gottfried in Vienna. And who's this for? So look, if you're unsure about the direction you want your career to go, hi there, Daniel in the Chicago suburbs, and Isaac in New Jersey, the Garden State. If you've been struggling to find ways to describe what you do, I see you there, Kajwan, and hi, Andrew in Fort Collins, right? If you're uncertain if your resume is any good, Rose in Denver and Alexander in Arizona. If you've been wrestling with how to follow up after you apply, if you're tired of applying and hearing nothing back, if you're doing interviews that seem to go great and then you get a big fat no, if you feel trapped in a job that you don't like and you're not sure what to do to escape, hi there, Jacob, hi there, Thomas in Newport, hi there, Katrina, right? And especially if you're losing hope, this is a workshop for you. Hey there, Mahesh in Milwaukee. On the other hand, if you are somebody who is super casual about your career, not willing to do the work, sort of reluctant to take responsibility for the results you've been getting, hi there, Lindsay in Minneapolis. If you're just interested in finding a job to make money, if you're stuck in your ways and sort of closed-minded and you know all the reasons your job search hasn't been working, hi there, Angelica in the Bay Area. If you're unwilling to be authentic, then this may not be the best workshop for you, because what you're going to learn today is how to get hired fast without settling, getting ignored, or losing hope. I'm going to offer you 4 strategies and 9 tactics that you can use to put your job search in a higher gear today so that you can do work that matters and pays what you and your family deserve. So our agenda for today, a lot of you don't know who the heck I am. You're like, who the hell's this guy, right? You reached out to me on LinkedIn or something, like, who the heck's this guy? I'm just going to tell you just a second about who I am. I'm going to give you those 4 strategies, those 9 tactics. I've also got an invitation for you, right? Some of you have joined this call because you know about our program, and either you've had friends or family that have gotten hired. We got a lot of people hired in August, by the way. And you know about the program, and you know that in order to join the program, you have to attend this workshop, to attend the call. If that's you, I'm going to give you the link to book a call right now. And if you're like, what the hell is he talking about? Don't worry. There's some people that already know about this. They're going to book a call right now. And again, just as a reminder, folks, the only requirements to book a call is 1, you're going to show up. 2, you're at least willing to invest in yourself. And 3, you're willing to get started. And if you're like, what the hell is he talking about? Don't worry about it. You're fine. And then we're going to have a little bit of time for Q&A. I think I have a hard stop today right at the top of the hour, I think. Oh, well, hold on. I just got an email. This may mean that we have more time. Let's see here. I'm reading it. This is real time. Yeah, I have more time. Okay, that was perfect timing. Okay, so we're not quite so rushed. Hey there, Monica in Arlington. I'm so glad I got that email. Now I don't have to be so rushed. Okay, so who is this guy and why does he think he can help me find a job? Well, I don't know if I can help you find a job or not. I've helped a lot of people. Maybe I can help you. I grew up overseas. I came to the States, grew up in Asia, came to the States when I was 18, wound up transferring college 7 times. It was sort of a rough time for me. I didn't know much about career stuff. Here I'm in the Midwest wondering why it's so damn cold. I wound up as a scuba instructor on the island of Guam. That was pretty cool. I spent about 10,000 hours underwater with the fish. That was pretty awesome. But my brain got a little spongy and I thought, I got to figure out this career thing because I'm wandering a bit. So I thought, well, what would be the most prestigious job? Hey there, Allison in Cincinnati and Kaiser in Virginia. I said, what would be the most prestigious job I could have? And I thought, well, that must be something like the White House. So I took out a piece of paper and I hand wrote the world's worst cover letter. It said, "Dear Mr. President, you should hire me." And it was terrible, right? I still have a copy of it somewhere. And I mailed that sucker off. I'm like, I'm never hearing back about that. But at least it was kind of an interesting way to spend a Tuesday afternoon. But about a month later, I was going past the Guam post office and the guy came out. Hey there, admin Fort Mill. Guy came out and said, "Hey, Eric, you got a letter from the White House." Well, I'd never gotten a letter from the White House before. So I opened it up and it was an internship application. Now, look, folks, I didn't know what the hell an internship was, but I was really good at filling out applications because I transferred college so many times. So I filled that out, returned it. I was sure I was never going to hear back, but at least I had the cool envelope from the White House, which I thought was pretty cool. And that got me a little bit inspired. I applied to some grad schools and, started thinking about things. And Fort Mill, South Carolina, I see you there, Adam, right? And I got into GW in their graduate program. So I sort of flew to DC, landed in DC with like this big bushy haircut, was still in island mode, right? It was like, had flip-flops and was like dumpster diving for furniture. Bought a pair of running shoes one day and was out running past the White House. And I thought, those White House bastards, they never even bothered to let me know about that internship thing. What's up with that? So I found a payphone. I put in a quarter. I said, "Hey, you White House." I don't know if I called them bastards on the phone. It's possible I did. But I said, "You lovely White House people, what about that internship thing?" And they're like, "Is this Eric from Guam?" I'm like, "Yeah, but I'm in DC now." They're like, "Man, we've been trying to get in touch with you. You're supposed to start in the First Lady's office on Monday." So I thought, oh, well, that's interesting. So I got a haircut, bought some shoes, bought a suit, and I showed up. Now, look, folks, we got a lot of political craziness going on in our country right now. I don't know if my politics match yours. Please forgive me if they don't. This is going to tell you how old I am. This was back during the Clinton administration. I went to work for Hillary Rodham Clinton. She was an awesome boss, right? Eventually got hired on her staff, right? Spent a lot of the Clinton administration there in Hillary land on her team. Wound up following her to the U.S. Senate, where we represented the great state of New York. And then I followed her to the State Department where I did a bunch of UNESCO stuff. That was pretty cool, helped representing the United States at UNESCO. And then I wound up becoming director of fellowships and internships at the Smithsonian Institution. And all during this time at people, all different levels in their career, senior people, mid-level people, junior people, all different disciplines, all different industries. I saw the same movie over and over where people were trying to make the world a better place by doing the vital work they do. And this system, this kind of stupid job searching system just stood in their way. So now I give a lot of talks. I do a lot of coaching. I've written a ton of books. I have an outrageous number of pieces of paper. It's all very impressive. I have glowing reviews and you don't care about any of that. Because what you care about is, can I help you? I don't know. Probably, maybe. Let's find out. Okay. So here we go. 4 strategies, guys. And the way this works, hey there, Mark Levine in Huntersville. There's a little bit of a lag between when people comment and I see it. So don't worry. Like I just said, I have more time than I thought I would have. So we're going to have time for questions. Thanks, Janani. Impressive. He says, I don't know about that, but I've helped a lot of people with job stuff. So let's go over these 4 strategies. Here we go. Okay. First question for you. What's a good resume about? Now, I like to give away things to people that answer questions and get them right. So let's put this in the chat. What's a good resume about? Let's see if anybody gets the right answer. What's a good resume about, my friends? Put it in the chat if you would, please. What's a good resume about? I got you thinking. You're like, well, I don't know. What is a good resume about? Okay, so Charles says 2 pages. Okay, Charles. Work experience, shortened to the point, says Anna. Ali says accomplishments, what drives you. Sasha says it's about us, tailored to the job. Kathleen says, Jamie says ATS friendly. Bradford says my story. I haven't seen the right answer yet. Your credentials, impact skills, you and your experience. Okay, I have not yet seen the right answer. Oh, Kaiser says selling yourself. Okay, soft skills, you. Okay, so clearing ATS. I have not yet seen the right answer. Okay, addressing the job description. What's your background about impact? Nope, nobody's got the right answer yet. So look, folks, a lot of you are saying this. This is what you're saying. You're saying a good resume is about you. Nah, good resume is not about you. A good resume is about them. A good resume is about the person or organization you're sending it to. You want to be influential with another person, the last thing you're going to want to talk about is yourself. It's not about you, my friends. If you get nothing else out of this workshop today, I hope you hear this. A good resume is not about you. And Adam, I see you. It's not about what you can bring to the company even, because it's still about you. It's what's possible for the company. I see you there, Allison. It's not about you. It's not even what the company gains by hiring you, right? It's not about you. Yeah, Sasha Gasika. There it is. Sasha is the first right answer I've seen. Them. A good resume is about them. So look, Sasha, we're going to send you a free course. Sasha Gasika, guys, right there now. We've got Jessa and Jelly helping us today. I've got a free course about how to make your LinkedIn profile awesome. Sasha, you've just won this course because you were the first one to put the right answer in. So congratulations to you, Sasha. Don't worry, guys. I have more giveaways. Okay, so Chris says that's what he stated. Control manager. Okay, Chris, if we're going to give it to you too, buddy, if you said it and I missed it. Okay. So it's about them. That's right. It's about them. Okay. So good resume is not about you. It's about them. So many job seekers think that, an application's about them. No, or it's about themselves, right? A good application is about the person or organization you're sending it to. And look, folks, it's no wonder we think a resume is about us, because very likely the first resume we ever did was coming out of school. And in school, it is about us, right? In school, it's our cubby. It's our desk. Let's make sure there I'm back. Hopefully you didn't just lose me there for a sec. Hey, Jane M, you just booked a call. Nice job, Jane. We look forward to talking to you, right? A good resume is about them, right? And in school, it's very natural, it's all about us. But yet when we move to the working world, it's about the constituent, the client, the customer. So guys, a resume is not about you. It's about them. If you get nothing else out of this workshop today, hear this. This one distinction alone will change your job search. All right, guys, here we go. I got another question for you. Here we go. If we went to a library and we went to a shelf full of storybooks, on the front cover of those books, there's going to be some words. What do we call those words on the front cover of a storybook? What do we call those words? Let's see who's going to get it right first. What are the words on the front cover of a storybook? Let's see here. Who's going to get it right? What do we call those words on the front cover? So Matthew Baller and Teresa Alvacio, you're the first two I saw, right? Congratulations. You're going to win that course on how to make your LinkedIn profile awesome. And so many of you are getting it right. I see you, David and Allie and Katrina. Yeah, it's a title. Now, isn't it interesting that's the same term we use to label people in the workplace, title, which tells me that just like we put a label on a storybook, we're going to put the label on the story of somebody's career. And this brings us to the idea of stories. I got another question for you. Here we go. A lot of you are still answering title, right? What % of human decision-making is emotional and what percent is logical? Put it in the chat if you would, please. What percent is emotional and what percent is logical? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 40-60? What percent is emotional? What percent is logical? Let's see if anybody gets it right. Who's going to get it right? Right? What's the ratio? So Adam says 70-30. Charles says 80-20. Chris says, okay, 70-30. Okay, Justin, I see it. David says 70-30. I haven't seen the right answer yet. Right? Ron says 80. Bradford says 80. Cheryl says 90. Nope. Maddie says 75. Nobody's got it right yet. Clint says 50-50. Kim says 50-50. It's all wrong. You're all wrong. Carol says 90-10. Right? Nobody's got it right yet. What percent of human decision-making is emotional? I'll give you guys just a couple more seconds. Nobody's got it right yet. A lot of times somebody gets this one right. Nope. John Norton says 65-35. Alexander's very precise, 73-27. Askin and Sherelle. I saw you both at the same time, and we saw Justin too. Okay, I saw 3 at once. So Justin and Anna, and I see Anna, and I see Sherelle, and I see Askin. You've all got it right. It's 100% emotional. And the reason we know human decision-making is 100% emotional is when somebody gets their limbic system damaged, they're fine, except they can't make a single decision. And that's the debilitating part. All these cats walk around saying, we make data-driven decisions. No, they don't. Nobody does, right? Human decision-making is 100% emotional. It's very fast. So when you first got on this workshop today, right, you made a lot of very quick decisions, whether you like the music that was playing, you like the sound of my voice, you like the way my face looked, right? Like all of it very quickly. And now you're just gathering data to rationalize the emotional decision that you've already made, right? It's 100% emotional. And the reason stories are so important is stories are how we convey emotion. It's like Maya Angelou said, right? People will remember how you make them feel. The human capacity for logical thinking is like 20 bits a second. Our capacity for emotional thinking is 40 million bits a second. It's orders of magnitude greater, right? So you don't want to be spending a lot of time focused. I mean, facts are fine, right? They're going to use facts to rationalize the emotional decision they've already made, but you're going to want to put story throughout your resume. And if you're not doing that, you're really leaving a lot on the table. Make your application a story. And when I say your application, it's the story you tell yourself, first of all, but then it's also your resume, your cover letter, your follow-up, your networking, the interview. It's all about story. And if you're not doing that, it's a real opportunity for you. So for example, notice I'm about to tell a story. Right. One time I was accepting applications for a program, and this one woman, her name was Maggie. She wrote how the summer before she'd been in a terrible car accident and her arm had been severed. Oh no, that's a terrible story, right? But memorable. So we accepted Maggie to the program. I'm thinking, okay, what do we need to accommodate this one-armed woman? She walked in, first day, 2 arms. Now it was bandaged from where it had been partially severed and reattached, and Maggie was doing some physical therapy. She was going to be okay. Now, was I upset that she had 2 arms? Of course not. Of course I wasn't upset. I was so glad she had both her arms, and I remember that story to this day. And likely you will too, because it's a great story, and our ability to remember stories is so much greater. So you're going to want to remember, put stories in your stuff. Okay, next question. Hey, Dave B, you booked a call, man. We look forward to talking to you, Dave B. Nice work. What's this guy called? What's this guy's name? Put it in the chat if you would, please. What's this guy called? I'll give you a hint. He lives in Idaho, right? What's this guy's name called, right? Matthew Honovic is the first one I saw. Matthew, you're going to get the free LinkedIn course, right? Nice job, Matthew Honovic. This is Napoleon Dynamite. Now, for those of you who don't know who Napoleon Dynamite is, first of all, come on, folks, we're trying to create a society here. Please drop everything. Go watch this movie. Come on now. And don't ruin it for you. Napoleon's a high school kid. He sort of beats to his own drum. In this particular scene, he's at his school, and he's in front of the entire student body. He's managed to get a cassette tape up to the sound booth, which they're starting to play. And Napoleon's on the hook to do some sort of performance that he has not prepared for. So Napoleon proceeds to do this crazy wild dance. I mean, this thing he metaphorically opens the kimono, right? I mean, it is wild. And when he's done, he's sort of sweaty and panting, and all his fellow classmates are like this, and then they burst into applause. And the reason it works is because it's so authentic. It's so authentic. Jamie Kern Lima, right, says everybody's a good dancer if they commit fully. And she's right. Jamie Kern Lima is the founder of It Cosmetics, right? Everybody's a good dancer if they commit fully, right? And this brings us to strategy number 3, authenticity. Let me ask you a question. Who do humans hire? I'll tell you, humans. Humans hire humans. Now, I can hear you right now. A lot of you are like, but Eric, what about the algorithm? What about the ATS? We've been told there's an ATS. What about the algorithm? How's that working for you? It's an urban myth, my friends. Yes, there are companies. Hey, Wendy M., you just booked a call. We look forward to talking to you, right? So there are companies out there that, yeah. So Adam, I'm sorry you're buying into that story. Only if you can get past the ATS. No, stop worrying about the ATS. It's like Bigfoot or the Loch Ness Monster, right? Like, yes, companies use different kinds of software to organize their stuff, but it's basically just how they put you into a database. At the end of the day, it's a human looking at that stuff, right? Humans hire humans. So the good news for you is all of your competitors, and look, I'm a fan of AI. I'm a big fan of AI, and it's great that so many people are relying on AI right now to get hired, because that means that they're going to just buy into the automation, and you can take this great opportunity to be more human. Because there's only one reason that somebody's going to hire you, folks, which we're going to get to in a little bit. And it's not your skills. It's not your experience. It's not even who you know. It's not even if they like you, right? We're going to talk about that in a sec. So instead of trying to be perfect, instead of trying to be proficient in Microsoft Office, my invitation to you is be more human, right? Nobody can be a better Kim or Ashley or Gabriel or Sasha than they can, right? So the opportunity is to be more human. Be human, be relatable. So perfect example. I was working with a woman, her name was Nina, and we were going through her resume. And I said, Nina, what do you like to do for fun? What makes you weird? And she's like, she sort of hemmed and hawed. And she's like, well, I have a pen collection, pens. I'm like, well, that's super effing weird, right? Pens are weird. We got to put that on there. So she hemmed and hawed. I heard from her a month later. She put that on her resume. She went in for the interview. They talked about pens for 30 minutes, and then she got hired. I had a client just this past, it was almost a year ago now, lady out of Vegas. She decided to put on her resume 2 truths and a lie. She got 2 interviews and 2 offers just from that. I had another client recently start to put on their resume, the 3 things I'm most afraid of. Perfect. Because as Brene Brown taught us, right, it's vulnerability, right? That's what makes us human. So it's a real opportunity. I hear you disagreeing, Adam. I hear you. Well, like sometimes and I say this with a lot of love, right? So sometimes in our job search, it's the stuff we know that holds us back, right? So look, folks, if we're trying to make an airplane fly or cure a disease, like we want guys in white lab coats, scientific method, yay science. But in this job search stuff, it's all made up. Remember, it's all a story. Titles, organizations, it's all made up. So we can tell ourselves the story that ATS is holding us back, or it's the economy, or it's our age, or there's an infinite number of stories. And I would humbly suggest to you that the opportunity for you is not to ask which story is true or false. What story do you know? Ask yourself which is more useful. That's how you get hired fast, because it's all made up anyway. Okay, authenticity is superpower. All right, let's talk about Abe Lincoln here. Give me 6 hours to cut down a tree, and I'll spend the first 4 sharpening the axe. This brings us to the power of systems. Hey, Alex C., we look forward to talking to you. Nice job, right? The results you're currently getting in your job search are perfectly attuned to your current system. And trust me, you have one. And one of your systems may be, I got to do ATS. It's my age. It's the economy. Those would be examples of systems. And so if you want to get different results, you're going to want to change your system. Okay. And the opportunity here is not, some of you have the system, I just have to work harder. How's that working for you? Right? The opportunity instead is to work smarter. That could be a better system, right? You're going to want to do quality first and then ramp up the quantity, right? And if what you've been doing hasn't been working, you're going to want to iterate. That's right, Adam. You just read my mind. Hey, let's give Adam that, that's right. Yeah. So it's exactly the Einstein quote. Make sure we give Adam the LinkedIn course, because I so appreciate that quote, Adam Alsop. We're going to send you that LinkedIn course, how to make your LinkedIn program awesome, right? The other quote that Einstein comes to mind is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and thinking you're going to get a different result, right? You don't want to do that. There's no such thing as a failed experiment, right? So remember, this isn't about you. It's not about who you are. You're welcome, Adam. It's your system, right? This is the system a lot of you have been using in your job search. And I got to hand it to you, folks. You have done wonders with this system. I mean, you've used every combination, the sticky gear shift and the button, right? You've done everything. And you're wondering why you can't steer your job search to success. Well, here's the opportunity. This is the system that's available. And so you could spend a lot of time and money trying to figure out how to get from this to this, or you could just get help and we just get this job thing handled like we have for a lot of clients. Okay. It's not your fault. You just got a bad system. And some of you are like, but I should know how to do this. Well, how often have you been on the job search in your life? Maybe 5-6 times, right? Yeah, Brian, it's okay. We're not going to take your daughter's toy. That's fine. Okay. So look, folks, how do you put this all to work? So look, like I mentioned, I'm going to talk about it later. We got more to talk about here. I've got a system. It's called Get Hired Fast. I could say, hey, Christine S., we look forward to talking to you, right? Nice job booking a call. Like I could spend a lot of time telling you like, oh, it works. And here's why. Nah, I'm not going to do that. We've got the receipts. Like we helped, like last week alone, I think we had 5 people got hired in my program. And that's August, like the last week of August. Like what's that about? Right. It works. I'm going to tell you about it here in a little bit. But if this is something you're interested in, you want to find out more, you're already like, oh my God, this is different. I want to figure out what's different. Come talk to us. I'm going to drop the link here. And the only requirements is you're not going to book a call and then cancel. You're going to at least be, you're wanting somebody to make an investment in you, to pay you to work. You're going to at least be willing to make an investment in yourself. We're going to talk about that. And then you're ready to get started, right? So if that's you, feel free to book a call. We got lots of slots, right? September's here. Okay. So 9 tactics. Here we go. Okay, folks. Again, this is one of those parts of the workshop that if you've been not paying attention, come back to me. Or if you've been watching the replay and you've had me on 2 times speed, I'm going to talk real fast to get your attention because now it's like 6 times speed. I like to do that to wake up the people who are like watching me on replay at 2 times speed. Here's the metaphor. There's a lake. And in the middle of the lake, someone's drowning. Now they're surrounded by other people in little boats. Okay. So somebody's in the middle of the lake drowning and they're surrounded by little boats. If that was a job search, who's the person drowning? Put it in the chat if you would, please. Who's the person drowning? Metaphorically, right? In this metaphorical job search situation, somebody's drowning. They're surrounded by other people in little boats. Who's the person drowning? People will just film it with their cameras. Okay. So Dan says me, Brendan says me, right? Brittany says the job seekers. Yeah. So a lot of you are saying Trevor, I feel you, buddy. It feels like me, right? Bud says me. Sasha. Oh, wait. And somebody up before Sasha, right? Because I know we already took care of Sasha. Alexander Murphy. All right, Alexander. Nice job. You got it right? It's the company. It's the company, Alexander. We're going to send you that free LinkedIn course, by the way. A lot of you are acting as though you're the one drowning, and it may feel that way. You've got bills. You've got family members that are like, oh, please just settle. Just get something. Be safe. And it can feel like you're drowning. Nah, you're not drowning, right? You're on this call right now. You're not even underwater unless you've got an underwater computer, right? You're not drowning. It's not accurate. The employer is the one drowning. And the reason we know they're the one drowning is they've told us, they've said, help, we're drowning in work. Somebody help us. You're the one in the boat. So the last thing you're going to want to do is be in that boat and be like, pick me. Let me sell myself. I'd be really good for you. Don't do that. Hey, Kevin H. Look forward to talking to you. Nice job, Kevin. Right? Like, don't act like you're the one drowning. You're not drowning. It's the employer. And this brings us to tactic number 1, which is mindset. Right? You want to get away from selling yourself and, oh, I hope they pick me. Because if you were in one of those boats, you probably wouldn't care much who saved the person. You would just care that they didn't drown and die. Right? Remember, there's lots of jobs out there. There's only one like Kevin and Kijuan. Hopefully I didn't mispronounce your name, right, Kijuan? Right? So you want to approach this from a place of service. And we're going to talk more about that. Right? People don't want to be sold. They want to be served. Selling people's weird, folks. We've gone over this historically. Buying people's even weirder. Don't do that. Okay. All right. Let's get on to tactic number 2. Some of you have seen the show Deadliest Catch, right? Where there's these Alaskan fishermen and they put these big steel cages on the bottom of the Bering Sea with a little bit of bait, hoping to catch some crab. And sure enough, Bob the crab comes along and says, "Oh, free lunch." And Bob starts eating, and Cheryl and Sally and all the crabs come along, right? We'll see you later, Chris. Like other crabs come along. And finally, like the bait's really gone. And eventually one of the crabs is like, "Wait a second, there's no more bait here. There's no more food. I'm out of here, boys." Now here's the interesting part. When a crab tries to leave, the other crabs will pull that crab back in. They'll even pull off one of their limbs. They'll even do a crab murder to keep that crab inside. And of course, it's because crabs instinctively feel safer with other crabs. And of course, it's terrible for everybody because everybody gets pulled up and, gets sold to Red Lobster. I don't know if they're still in business, right? But it's bad, right? So this brings us to tactic number 2, which is your environment. Some of you are thinking, "Ooh, I'm having trouble in my job search because I've got mustard on my shirt, or I'm too old or too young, or I don't know the right people, or I don't have the right education, don't have the right experience. I live in the wrong place." So don't fill in the blank, right? When probably your environment is having a lot bigger impact than you could possibly imagine. And I'm talking about all kinds of environment: physical, emotional, psychological, intellectual, emotional, all those kinds of environments. This is one of the ways that we really help people change their job search real fast, is we take a look at their environment. Now, some things you can change and some things you can't, but there's probably a lot more about your environment than you can change than you think, right? So most people don't even consider it. And look, right? It's a huge mistake. You want to be intentional about your environment, right? You want to safeguard it. Some of you have heard about the idea of reference groups, right? Where the average weight, income, education, the 5 people we hang out with most. Exactly. So you're going to want to dial in who you're hanging out with. Chris N., we look forward to hanging out with you. Chris N. just booked a call. Okay. All right, let's go on to tactic number 3. Hard to hit a blurry target. This brings us to the idea of vision. Sometimes I'll talk to prospective job seekers. I'll be like, "Well, what do you want to do?" They're like, "Well, I want to help people." I'm like, "Well, that's beautiful. How much money do you want to make?" Anywhere between $50,000 and $150,000. I'm like, "That's really vague," right? And this brings us to the idea of like the reticular activating system, which is the part of our brain that helps us focus on stuff so we don't drive ourselves crazy. If I say the word red right now, all of a sudden, all of you are even unconsciously more aware of the color red just because I put it into your brain. This is the thing where we go and buy a new car and we drive off the lot and we're like, "Nobody's got this new car." And we see it 5 times because all of a sudden our brain's looking for it. It's the same thing with your job search, right? You want to have clarity and specificity. It's vital. If you don't have clarity around what the world needs, how you can help, how much money you want to make, and what you're good at, which is Ikigai, by the way. Some of you may recognize that. No good, no bueno. There's a reason when race car drivers drive 500 miles in a circle that they don't look at the outer wall, because where they look is where the car tends to go. And it's the same thing with you and your job search. If you don't have specificity, if you don't have a schema, right, a search pattern, you're just going to drive around in circles. Some of you may already know what that feels like. Some of you have been doing that for a couple months. I saw what you posted at the beginning. All right, guys, I got another one here. Here we go. If I went to the store and I bought this thing here, what would I be buying? Put it in the chat if you would, please. Right. And Kajan, yeah, we're going to reach out to you on LinkedIn and we're going to get a whole replay of this. So if I went to the store and I bought this thing, what would I be buying? Right? What would I be buying if I went to the store and bought this? So Brendan says a drill, Bron says a drill, Terrell says a drill, something to drill with. Oh, Bradford, you're close, Bradford. Matt, okay, we're going to give it to Bradford and Matt. Right? Bradford and Matt, Justin and Jelly. Make sure we get those 2 guys, because I don't need this sitting around my garage. Right? What I actually need is a hole. I need a hole. I don't need this. What I need is the hole. And actually, now that I think about it, I don't need a bunch of holes in my walls. I'm not insane. Well, maybe I am, but not because of this, right? What I actually need is a place to put the hook. And actually, now that I think about it, I don't even need a place to put the hook. I don't want a bunch of hooks coming out of my walls, gash my arm open, right? What I actually want is a place to hang the picture. And actually, I don't even want that. What I actually want is the feeling I get when I look at the picture of my beautiful family that's hanging on the hook that's in the hole that was made by the drill. Hey, Samantha P., we look forward to talking to you, right? And so Alexander, and I forget the other guy's name, you're going to get this free LinkedIn course, right? But this brings us to the idea of giving safety, right? Some of you are spending a lot of time worrying about ATS and the economy and hiding your age, and stop. You want to get hired. Look, I mentioned this before. There's one reason that they're going to hire you. I see you there, Hamal, drowning in bills. I hear you. It feels that way. It probably doesn't feel very safe for you if you're telling yourself the story that you're drowning in bills. Trust me, you may have some bills to pay. You're not drowning in bills, my friend. You're just not. It's just not accurate. You're just not. the bills aren't keeping you from breathing, right? So we can be accurate when we say, yeah, I've got some bills to pay. See, that's a lot less scary, because when we say I'm drowning in bills, our brain literally hears I'm drowning in beers. I'm going to die. Nah, you're not going to die. You just got some bills to pay. See how less scary that is, right? And so we want to make sure that we have safety, because the one reason that they're going to hire us is it's not if they like us, it's not our skills, it's not our experience, it's none of that. The reason they're going to hire us is they trust us. That's it. That's the whole ball game. And if we're coming at them from a place of scarcity, of being scared, it's hard for us to make them feel safe, right? We want to get really clear about what they like, want, or need. We want to get clear about what keeps them up at night. Do you see how this is so much more sophisticated than like worrying about ATS stuff? Right? You don't have to worry about the 900 other people that have applied on LinkedIn. And we don't actually know what that means, because you're going to be the one job seeker that's out there talking about them, being authentic, coming from a place of service, focused on what they're thinking, seeing, and hearing. What keeps them up at night, right? How can you make them feel seen, heard, and understood? This is a really important point, my friends. If you get nothing out of this workshop today, get this. Get this. No, Brandon, it's not your value proposition. It's not about you. It's about them. It's about what's possible for them. And see, when you make this shift, everything becomes possible. All right, guys, let's go on to the next tactic. Tactic number 5. This is my resume. It's sort of like a kitchen sink of resume. And the last thing you're going to want to do, hey, Toby H, we look forward to talking to you, right? The last thing you're going to want to do is have a resume, is follow best practices with your resume, right? Because that's professional camouflage. You're going to look like everybody else. So there's, some people says, there's software like Teal and stuff like that, right? Where, well, we'll make our resume look like everybody else's. Yeah, how's that working out? You don't want to do any of that, right? Some of you have that big paragraph at the top of your resume that's like, oh, it's my executive summary, and let me tell them a bunch of stuff about myself. Stop. First of all, that's all about you. There's no context. And it's you telling them a bunch of stuff instead of showing it. They're going to skip it in 3 seconds for about a million reasons. Some of you have been told, well, you can only put 15 years worth of experience on your resume. Stop. The person who told you that was probably had about 15 years experience. Some of you, all of a sudden your graduation dates just magically disappear. Stop. That's the worst thing you can do, because basically what you're saying is, I want you to trust me for you to hire me, and you're going to pay me a lot of money to help you reach your goals, but I don't trust you not to be ageist. No. Now look, folks, there's all kinds of isms out there. Racism, sexism. I'm not going to say the world's a fair place. It's not. And the last thing you're going to want to do is destroy trust. I get fired up about this. Okay, let's go back to resumes. Realize that the resume you send is just a communication piece. How you send it, where you send it, to whom you send it, all matters. You want to communicate with employers in a way they cannot ignore, right? So for instance, I've got hyperlinks on my resume. Do you have some on yours? We don't know if they're going to click them, but at least it shows them I'm somebody who knows how to use technology, right? All kinds of tricks like that. I mentioned how we had a client last year who put 2 truths and a lie. That worked amazingly well, right? Do you have evidence on your resume that you're a human? If not, I would put it on there, folks. It's hard to trust people who aren't humans. Okay, folks, here we go. If a job application is submitted, but there is no follow-up, does it may even make a sound? And this brings us to the idea of follow-up. So I'd be curious how many of you apply to jobs and you're like, well, hope I hear back on that one. And you don't follow up. And if you do, you're saying, hey, I just want to let you know I'm really interested in the job, and I think I'd be really good. And let me talk about me for 6 more pages. Stop. Right? And some of you are like, but Eric, you got to understand, they don't put the contact info on the job description. Or I look up the recruiter and I'm trying to reach out to the recruiter who's a professionally trained ninja in keeping you separate from the hiring manager. Because if you talk to the hiring manager, then the recruiter doesn't even need to exist, right? Stop doing all that. So first of all, you're going to follow up, and you're going to follow up from a place of service and make it about them. And the great news is all your competitors, except for the ones that are in my program, won't be doing this. Now, some of you are like, but Eric, how on earth do I find people's contact info? Well, I got a giveaway for you right now. Okay, here it is. I have a free mini course. It's called How to Contact Anybody. And I'm going to give it to all of you right now. Here's how you get the course. First of all, you're going to go to my LinkedIn page, which we're going to drop in the chat right now. We're going to go to my LinkedIn page, right? There it is right there. Thank you, Jessa and Jelly. and you're going to hit follow. And then you're going to message me the word chicken. Okay. All you have to do is follow me, message me the word chicken, and we will send you the link to get this free course. And then you'll be able to find anybody you want. How cool will that be? Right? Or at least it'll be a lot easier. Okay. How to contact anybody. You're going to want to follow up when you apply 100%. Okay. Here's another really important one, folks. Right. So here, just again, as there are instructions on this, you're going to go to my LinkedIn page, right? You're going to, hit follow, and then you're just going to message me, say, hey, message me and say, hey, you're going to say chicken, and we're going to send you the course, right? Happy to send it to you. It helps a lot of people. Okay. How to contact anybody. All right, let's go to the next tactic here. Some of you have seen the Academy Awards, right? Movie star gets up there and they win a big prize, and they get up there and they're like, well, I got nobody to thank. And it's sort of awkward and quiet, and people are saying, no, it doesn't happen, right? Movie star gets up there, she wins a big prize. She's like, I got to thank this person and this person. They're trying to drag her off stage. This brings us to tactic number 7, which is the idea of networking. For a lot of you, I'd be like, well, how many people you know in the world? And you might say like, well, maybe 1,000 people in my LinkedIn contacts. Okay, I'd say great. How many of those people know you're on the job search? And you'd be like, well, a good number. And I'd say, well, how many? Well, maybe 300. And I'd be like, how do they know? And you'd be like, well, I posted on LinkedIn 3 months ago. And so that's how they know. Hey, Michael, we look forward to talking to you, right? Like I posted about 3 months ago. And I'd be like, so they would have had to gone there 3 months ago to look at your profile, and they would have had to remember it for these past 3 months. And now you'd be getting nervous. Right? And this brings us to the idea of networking. There's probably legions of people that if they only knew you would welcome their help, they would be so glad to help you. Asking people for help makes us look strong, not weak. Okay? So you're going to want to enlist your network. And we're not talking about cocktail parties here, right? It's simply connecting with people and asking them for help. When we ask somebody for help, it's a gift, because we wouldn't ask for their help unless we thought their help was worth something. When we ask for their help, we give them the opportunity to invest in us, and our success becomes their success. It's a hugely powerful tactic here, right? It's giving them a gift. And also when we ask for help, it makes us look vulnerable. Vulnerability builds trust, and trust is the reason they're going to hire us in the first place. And by the way, you're going to want a system on this. Some of you are like, well, I follow up, once I send an email to they maybe hear from me once every 3 months. No, right? It's not scalable. It's like trying to go fishing with one line in one place at one depth with one kind of bait. I mean, you can fish for a long time and never get a fish. What we want to do instead, folks, is filter the ocean, because we don't know where the fish are, and wherever we think they are, they're probably somewhere else. So you're going to want to have a system. This goes back to the big control panel I was talking about, where you can filter the ocean. It's one of the things we help clients do. Okay, let's talk about offers, right? Offers, tactic number 8, interviews first. Before we get to offers, got to get to interviews. Okay, I'm about to deliver the best interview advice in the world. Are you ready for me to deliver the information? Here I am. I'm about to deliver it. You may want to write this down. Okay, here it is. Let me prepare myself. I know there's some questions here. We're going to get to them. Here it is. Here's the best interview advice in the world. Please prepare yourself. Don't answer their questions, right? Stop answering their questions, because really in an interview, they're only asking one question. And the question is this: can we trust you? That's it, right? If we had like a universal translator, we could be like, rah, 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 and be like, can we trust you? It'd be pretty funny, right? And if we were living in an alternate universe, they would just be like, well, thanks for coming to the interview. Can we trust you? And they'd be like, yeah, you can trust me. Well, great. That's been a great interview. No, it doesn't work like that because of society, right? So they're going to ask us questions like, tell me about a time you took a risk. Tell me about your greatest professional achievement. Tell me about a time you disagreed with your boss, right? And they don't really care the answer you're giving. What they care about is you making mouth noise so they can judge your mouth noise to determine whether they can trust you. So you might as well give answers and tell stories that strengthen that cause. Okay. So this isn't about focusing on the question. It's about focusing on the answers and the stories that you're going to tell. A lot of times we'll get people join the program, and there's these people who've been, I've gotten to the final round 17 times and it's always a no. Folks, there's only one. Hey, Diane, we look forward to talking to you. Nice job, right? There's only one reason that they don't hire you. It's that they don't trust you. It's nothing personal, or they trust somebody more. So the opportunity here is to build trust, do everything possible to build trust. It really makes a difference. Okay, now we're on to the final tactic, right? This is offers, right? And so two ideas here, important ideas. One, we don't have to worry about whether we want a job to apply. And two, unless and until we get an offer, we don't have to worry if we want it. Because unless and until we get an offer, we have no idea whether we want the job. How could we? Right? So you're going to want to go when you get an offer. And a lot of times people pay for the program that they join with us. Like we had somebody just last week, I'll protect confidentiality, but he got like a $20,000 raise, like higher, right? Than because we helped him negotiate. Now, program's not 20 grand, you don't have to worry, but like, like hugely like important just because he knew how to handle the offer. We want to live in a world of possibility. We never really have to say no to an offer. We can just be curious and talk about what's possible. And this leads to miracles only every time, right? So instead of worrying about whether you want the job or that you're qualified, live in a world of possibility, right? That's the opportunity. Apply from a place of service, all that good stuff. All right, guys, you guys have been a great crowd. So you're going to want to write this down, right? 4 strategies, 9 tactics. Hey, Diane, so glad you booked a call, right? Right. This is how you get hired fast, folks. Here's the formula. Hi, Lauren. Look forward to talking to you, right? This is how you get hired fast. Here it is. Okay. So look, folks, some of you are like, this is a little different than I've heard before. Thank you for noticing, right? This stuff that I'm offering you is not mainstream. This is not Googleable. In fact, it contradicts, as some of you have shown in the chat, a lot of the things that people know. Well, I know it's the ATS and I know it's the, okay. How committed are you to knowing all that stuff? Because if you're more committed to getting a job, there could be possibility for you, right? So I've got a program. It's awesome. It works. The idea is we work with you for 3 months or less, and we give you a guarantee that if you don't get a job in that time, we stay with you until you do. It comes with a lot of one-on-one coaching, group coaching. There's a course. There's an online community. It's amazing. It gets people results real damn fast, right? And so here are some of those people. So Jessie was somebody we worked with last year, and she was a senior executive at doing nonprofit stuff. And in our program, she got like 2 offers. She kept getting offers for stuff she didn't really want. And then she finally got an offer for the thing she did, right? There's Rob, who started the program. He hadn't been job searching at all. He was like, I know I'm going to need a job. I don't want to be searching for months and months. I'm going to join your program. And we got him hired like in about 6 weeks. And he was actually coming from overseas at the time. Wayne, again, was another person that got a bunch of offers during the program. Amy was one of those people that kept getting to the final round in her interviews, and for whatever reason kept getting no. She joined our program and she started getting yeses, and she's in a job now. She got through our program. John Marin, same thing. He was like a CEO guy. He did a lot of networking, and we got him hired real fast. Philip was a early professional. He got 2 offers at once. All kinds of things. So Angel is a great story. She joined our program end of last year. And right at the beginning of this year, she got picked up. Guys, let's show them the video from Angel, if you would, please. In the time we've got left, I'm curious, especially if there's somebody we haven't heard from yet. They've had a win, a loss. Angel, I got to ask you, what do we know, if anything? What do we know?
I got the job. Yay!
Whoa!
The offer. I'm moving in a week. Yeah, it's crazy. And I know when we first met, you're like, oh, like, let's get something by your birthday. And my birthday is in 4 days. So I was able to do it. Yay.
And I just want to acknowledge you. Like, you dove in, you did it. You did the work.
Thank you.
Way to go.
It would not have been possible without like signing up for this program. Truly. I think it made the difference for me.
So good, Angel.
Yeah.
Really happy for you. Super awesome. Congratulations to you. Yeah. Yay. All right. Hey, Kathleen, I see in the chat, it looks like you booked a call and you're worried that you have a conflict. Kathleen, go ahead and book a second call. And Jessa and Jelly, if we could just let Paula know that the first call that Kathleen booked to nix it. And Kathleen, if you have trouble with that, just like message us and we'll take care of you on that. You can message us on LinkedIn or just the message that's in the call reservation that you got. Kathleen, we look forward to talking to you. Okay. Yay, Angel, right? So some of you, right, are like, well, I'm just going to wait. I'm just going to think about it. And it breaks my heart because I hear from people that attended, I'm hearing from them now, people that attended this workshop sort of in like February. Thanks, Kathleen. Right. In February. And they're like, hey, it hasn't been working. And I'm like, show me what you've been doing. I'm like, yeah, I know. It's because you're talking about the drill or you're talking about yourself. Right. They joined this program. Some of the people that just got hired in August, right, actually joined our program in July after trying it on their own for a little bit. Right. And because there's an opportunity cost to doing it on your own, right? And the last thing you're going to want to do is like be on the hamster wheel. Same results, same system over and over. Second verse, same as the first. It's the definition of insanity, right? If this is the annual salary that you're wanting to make, that's how much it's costing you per month in terms of opportunity. That's how much it's costing you per week. So look, folks, if we can get you hired a couple of weeks faster, like you're going to come out ahead, and we can almost certainly like get you hired, right? Like definitely. Yeah. So yeah, the question is, do you just want to keep doing this on your own? I mean, if you can afford this, that's great. Or if you just want to get this handled, like, let's get this handled, right? Again, the course comes with all kinds of stuff. We work on your LinkedIn profile and whether you need clarity about what you want to do next, or maybe you have imposter syndrome, or maybe it's your resume, your cover letter, or, you want to switch industries, or, I mean, just everything. You can interviews. We do all the things. And some of you are like, well, do you do my industry? Yes. Some of you are worried, well, what about my level? Have you worked with CEOs or early professionals? Yes, we've worked with everybody. We got a 79-year-old hired like earlier this year. Yeah. So we work with everybody. You are welcome here. So some of you are worried about money. Like, I haven't been working in a while. So we have multiple payment plans available. They start at a couple $100 a month, right? Because a lot of people are like, well, can I pay you after I get the job? Almost, right? We want you to have at least a little skin in the game. So it's a couple $100 a month to get started. And you can pay the rest when you get the job. And our guarantee is we place 100% of people that join this program. As long as you stay with it, we'll stay with you. That's a simple guarantee. Yeah, it's pretty simple. Ideally, we get you hired in 3 months or less. And that happens for a lot of people. And if it doesn't, we stay with you till you do. So a lot of receipts here of people that have done the program and had a lot of success. They were doing exactly what you were doing, exactly what Angel did. They saw this workshop and they decided to bet on themselves, and it really paid off. So if this is something that's speaking to you, the next step is what you're going to do is you're going to book a strategy session with us, right? 3 requirements. 1, you're going to show up for the call. You're not going to book a call and then like cancel it, because getting ghosted sucks. You guys have probably run into that on your job search. It's not fun. Don't do that, right? It's okay if you're scared. It's fine. Don't worry. Just show up. Bet on yourself. You're going to be at least open to making an investment, right? The idea of it. And look, folks, if you're on this call, if you can afford the internet that's bringing this call, the cell phone that you're paying for, you're going to be able to afford this program, right? Even if you're scared. And, we have ways we can help you make it really affordable. And you're ready to get hired now. If this is something you want to do 2 months from now, we love you. Come back in 2 months. So book a call. It's really easy. A bunch of you have already booked calls, which is awesome. Nice. All right, guys, we have time. We have lots of time. Let's take some questions, because I saw you guys had a bunch. Hey, Monica A. We look forward to talking to you, Monica A. It's such a great name, Monica. All right. So I'm going to show you my full gigantic head so you can get the full experience. Let's do some questions, and we've got some time here. Okay. And like I say, I had a client who kindly agreed to push back for 30 minutes. So thank my client, send my client good karma, because that's how I'm going to get to stay a little longer. Brendan, if August is a tough month, what's the best? September's pretty damn good. January is also good. And there's always an exception to the rule. I had 2 clients this past year. I know because I was on a Disney cruise, and they WhatsApp called me to say that they had gotten job offers, and it was New Year's Eve. So you just never know, right? Like, and again, this is why in a job hunt, Brendan, we want to avoid the temptation to know when the best month is, because the good news is if everybody else knows that August is a bad time, it means it's probably a great time for us. So we don't know about September. Maybe it's a good time. Maybe it's not, right? What we do know is that there's people out there that need a Brendan. That's what we do know. All right, next question. I love that question, Brendan. Okay, Kajuan, I'm sorry if I mispronounced your name. If we missed something on the slide, will you be sending? Yeah, so just pay attention to your LinkedIn, folks. My team will be reaching out to say, hey, do you want the replay? And if you want the replay, just respond, and we'll send you the replay of the whole thing. Easy as that. Okay, next question. Jam says, can you ask them during the interview, or does it come? So it's such an interesting question you ask, Jam. I hope I'm pronouncing your name correctly. If we want to be influential, we can ask the question. So we can say, are you having a tough day? Or we could say, do you have any concerns about me? That's a horrible question. Don't ask that, right? We can ask them a question, but the more powerful thing is to be like, tough day, right? Is to notice it in somebody without them ever having to answer. So like, look, the worst is to go in there just talking about ourselves. That's a hot dumpster fire. Don't do that, right? If you need to, you can go in and ask them questions. That's okay. But the most powerful thing is to go in there and just say stuff. The words, this is what Chris Voss has taught us. The words we're looking for them to say are, that's right. If we can get them to say that's right, that means they feel seen, heard, and understood. That means trust is high. So that's what we're after, Jam. Hope that makes sense. All right, next question. Brandon, I made horrible choices. Well, that's an interesting story you're telling yourself, Brandon. Accepted offers from companies that were a terrible match 5 times in 5 years. What must I do differently? Well, first of all, you don't have to do anything differently, right? You might have the opportunity, and maybe they weren't horrible choices. Maybe they brought you to the exact point you are now. We don't know. But what we do know is that there's opportunity out there and there's people in need. That's what we do know. And that's what I would focus on. You could spend a lot of time and energy focused on beating yourself up and a lot of self-judgment around, I made such terrible choices. I have to explain those 5 jobs. Or you could go to the employer and be like, yeah, we can talk about those 5 jobs. Hey, Teresa, we look forward to talking to you. Nice job. We could talk about those 5 jobs, or we could talk about what's possible for you and your colleagues. What would you like to spend these 30 minutes talking about? Like that. Jason G, we look forward to talking to you. All right, let's see here. Next question. Justin and Jelly, you guys are doing a great job. Prakar says, quick question. Prakar, doesn't have to be a quick question. We got all the time in the world. Plenty of time, plenty of money, plenty of choices. What is the retention rate of people who find a job after joining our program? I don't actually have data on that, but we know it's pretty good because they don't come back. We have had a couple people who over the years have come back after like 1.5 years or so, but it wasn't because they did anything wrong or anything. It was just because the normal stuff. So it happens, but it's not any higher or lower than the rest of the job market. That's for sure. Is what I would say. It's probably less because part of what one gets in the program is we strengthen you to make sure that whatever happened in your last job doesn't happen in the next one, if possible. Okay. What's the next question? Let's see here. Sasha, quick question. What is it with all these quick questions? We got plenty of time, folks. Is the course going to help immigrants? Yeah, it's going to help immigrants. Right? Like, of course it's going to help immigrants. It's going to help anybody. And it's actually, we've actually helped a lot of people looking for jobs in other countries. It's helped them too. The idea of service and making others feel seen, heard, and understood is international. It's transcultural, I would humbly suggest. Yeah. Okay. Next question. Do you help people with remote jobs? Sure. Yeah. A lot of jobs are remote. Right. And again, this is one of those interesting things, Tony, I think, right? Yeah. So like where, I might be applying for a job and I see that it's in person. And I'm like, well, I can't apply for that. It's in person. See, that's one of those knowing things. So go ahead and apply, right? If we're coming from a place of possibility, let's let them fall in love with you, Tony. And then once they've fallen in love with you and they say, well, this job is in person, you say, yeah, you want somebody who can do this and this and this and this and this and this and this. I live here. How can I do all that in person? And they'll be like, we don't know. And see, now it becomes co-creating an agreement. And now we're living in possibility, as opposed to shutting the door right away, is what I would say. Okay, next question. And look, folks, if there's some of you who have to leave at the top of the hour, I just want to acknowledge you for being here. A lot of you have stuck around. I have a sneeze about to happen, so just want to give you fair warning. If the sneeze happens, I'll be really showing vulnerability here. But those of you who have to leave at the top hour, really acknowledge you. And I'm going to stick around because we got a lot of good questions here. All right, Alexander. Hey, Shani L, you booked a call. So glad to be talking to you. Okay, as a new supervisor, I left a job due to a toxic boss. After 5 weeks there, how do you stay positive? It's such a great question, Alexander. I so appreciate this question. So, look, I've had a lot of coaching on this, and this is why I have coaches. It's the story you're choosing to believe. So you could choose to believe the story of, you're so welcome, Danette. So welcome. Nice to see you, right? So you could tell yourself the story of you had a toxic boss and because of the toxic boss, you feel upset. Or you could tell the story of, hey, I had a toxic boss and I'm fine. See, it's not the toxic boss that's making you feel upset. It's how you're relating to the fact that you had a toxic boss. Or maybe even that you're calling the boss toxic. And I'm not saying that that boss wasn't a horrible person. I have no idea, right? I'm not trying to invalidate what you're saying or saying it didn't happen or it was your imagination, none of that. But the story we tell ourselves, we learned this from Viktor Frankl, right? Man's Search for Meaning, right? It's how we relate to the stuff that really matters. Joe S. booked a call. Way to go, Joe S. All right, next question. You guys are asking some good ones. Allie, what's my opinion? 1-page resume versus 2. I have never in the history of human beings, Allie, heard somebody not getting a job because of the number of pages of their resume. So long as those pages were about the person or organization it was being sent to. Now, look, if you've got a 30-page resume and it's all about yourself, yeah, that's a disaster. If you've got a 1-page resume and it's all about yourself, that's a disaster. But you can have several pages, and it's as long as it's making them feel seen, heard, and understood. Allie, it'd be like if you were reading a book about Allie F., and it was a page turner. Would you put it down after 2 pages? No, you'd keep reading. You'd read that cover to cover if it was about you, right? Whereas if it was about like something you didn't care about, you might read after half a page. It's not about the pages. It's about what the pages say. All right. Hey, Allison, booked a call. We look forward to talking to you, Allison. Nice work. Okay. What do I do about 5? Brad, I think we actually answered this question from Bradford about 5 jobs in 5 years. So Bradford, hope that makes sense. Hope you booked a call because we can help you with that. Katrina Smith. Just got another call that I didn't get a job because I didn't have enough experience. Yeah, Katrina, that sucks. I'm so sorry that happened to you. And they're lying. They're lying, right? So they can say you didn't have enough experience, and that's at least a reason they can give you that you probably can't sue them for. The real reason you didn't get hired, Katrina, is they just didn't trust you or they trusted somebody more. Now, Katrina, that's not your fault. It doesn't make you a bad person. Like there's people on this call right now that are deciding whether they want to book a call. The ones that trust me will, the ones that don't won't. Right? That's why I'm not spending a lot of time talking about my skills and experience because nobody cares, right? They're worried about, can we trust this guy? Some will, some won't. Some will call, some won't, right? So this is about trust. And so it's not that you don't have enough experience, Katrina. It's that there might have been opportunities to build more trust there. And some of that could be telling your story. Some of that could be showing them results you've done in the past. Those are all ways to build trust. But you're fine just the way you are, Katrina. There's nothing wrong with your level of experience. It's just that they didn't trust you. So that's the opportunity for you. I hope that makes sense. Hey, Ryan P. booked a call. Nice job, Ryan P. We look forward to talking. Katrina, I hope that serves you. Hey, let's send Katrina that course. Let's send Katrina the LinkedIn course, guys. Sounds like she could use a little pickup today. Let's take care of Katrina. All right, Lucia. Hey, Tony Hall. We look forward to talking to you. Yeah, I'm tired of the job hunt frustration. Really hear you, Tony. All right, Lucia. Yeah, EU, of course. What works here in the States works in the EU. Now, sometimes there's a few differences. And sometimes actually the crazy American stuff actually works better in the EU because everybody, I've worked with a lot of European friends, right? Like they're like, oh, who would do that, right? And sometimes vice versa. The European, and you guys often have cool accents, so maybe it's your cool accents. I don't know. But like it can actually work better because it's so different. It's so novel. Sometimes. All right, next question here. Matthew, how do I stand out during an interview if I'm not super extroverted? Such a great question, Matthew, right? And sometimes introverts actually do better, and here's why. As you might imagine, and again, these are just arbitrary labels, so for whatever they're worth, but let's play along, right? As an extrovert, I'm somebody that doesn't tend to practice conversations. Like I just go into it. Like I go into a conversation and I don't practice them. A lot of times, and I don't know if this is true for you or not, Matthew, introverts tend to be a little bit more practiced. They tend to at least do a mental rehearsal, right? And the thing about interviews is they're not organic situations. So sometimes extroverts like me have a harder time in an interview because I'll go in and just, rely on my glowing personality, right? Because that's what I always do. Whereas introverts are a little bit more strategic sometimes with what they say, which is exactly how you're going to want to be in an interview, not to be inauthentic, but just to be a little bit intentional because it's not an organic situation. So a lot of times introverts actually do better in an interview, is my experience. Hope that serves you, Matthew. Hope that serves you. All right. Next question. Loving these questions. Okay. Justin says, how appropriate? Oh my goodness. That's a crazy word. Appropriate. Would you say it is to include medical issues in your story? As in, I haven't been able to get a job in 2 years due to my focusing on my health. So look, Justin, first of all, I hope you're feeling better. Right? I'm sending you lots of like for health and wellness and ease. And like, it's not about you. It's not about your health, right? It's fine. Like it's never, like, look, folks, it's never the scandal. It's always the cover up. So it's not like we want to conceal something. And at the end of the day, worrying about your health is a story, and it's a little bit self-centered. Robert P. booked a call. And I mean that with a lot of respect, Justin. I don't know what your actual condition is. Again, I hope it's getting better, right? But worrying about, oh, my health, it's self-centered. Take all the time and energy you might be spending worrying about that. How am I going to explain myself? And take all that time and energy, instead focus on what's possible for them, right? Paint a story for them about what's possible. You don't have to worry about, I hope you feel better, be healthy, and they don't worry about your health. What they worry about is, can they trust you? Can you see, hear, and understand them? Do you have a history of success doing the things that they need done? Focus on all that is what I would do. Hope that serves, Justin. I hope you feel better. All right, next question. All right, I'm in the mood to do a few more. Okay, CJ says, I received a low offer from a highly coveted organization, and they're indicated that I'm already on top of their budget. How can I reposition the conversation to propose joining them as a advisor? So you could, and I would, and now look, CJ, if I were coaching you on this, I have questions. So when somebody says, well, that's our budget, I can say, hey, I hear you that that's your budget. Can I ask you a question? Yes. What do you mean? What's our budget? Sure. Can I ask you something? Yeah. Who puts together the budget? Right. So sometimes people will say these things like they're set in stone. Nah. Right. And then you can ask questions like, hey, I hear that that's your money. So you can't offer me more money. What can you offer me? Salary, title, right? Benefits, equity, leave, schedule. There's only about 1,000. This goes back to the system with the levers. Remember, there's only about 1,000 other things. And if nothing else, you could say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and accept this offer with the agreement that you and I are going to talk in 6 months about this. Right? Or you could just leave it. Hey, I hear that you want somebody who can do this and this and this and this and this and this and this, and you want the best person. How can I do that for that much? We don't know what they'll say, right? I have so many clients that they're running to. By the way, something I often mention in this workshop, and I want to reward you guys who are still here. You know those automated no's you get? Yeah, don't pay attention to those, right? Like you don't have to. I didn't play it during today's workshop, but I've got a client who tells the story of how, because he followed the coaching we give, is he got one of those automated no's and he just ignored it, right? And now he has the job, right? Because they're just like, stop buying into the story everybody's telling you about salary and title and ATS and all that stuff. It's all just made up. I would humbly suggest. I could be wrong. Justin S. booked a call. High five for Justin S. All right, let's do a couple more questions. Love this crowd. Brendan, how do you handle a question? Why did you leave your job when you were fired? You could say, yeah, my time there was complete. Love that job. A lot of great people. And you guys are doing A, B, and C. And my last job, they just weren't doing that. So it's part of the reason I'm no longer there. It's because they didn't do the kind of innovation you do. Lovely people, loved the last job, great experience. And you guys are doing such amazing things. Yeah, they couldn't afford to keep me because they weren't doing the innovative stuff that you guys are. Like that. Hope we didn't lose sound, Brendan. Hope we didn't lose sound. Hopefully not. All right, next question. What percentage typically does one skill set who would be a viable candidate match with a prospective employer looking for? Yeah. So John, remember thank you, Jam. I appreciate that. Right. Remember, it's not about your skills. It's about whether they trust you. Right. There's that research out there, which is contested now, like, women, have a certain percentage and men it's greater. And I don't know, that study's gone back and forth. Right. And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you think you're qualified, because what you think doesn't matter. They'll have an opinion and theirs is the one that counts. Right. So all you want to focus on is how can you serve? And if and when you get an offer, that's when you can live in a world of possibility. It just simplifies everything. All right, guys, one more question, and yeah, sorry, Brendan. Sorry, watch the replay. Brendan, book a call. We'll talk to you. All right, Kathleen, you're our grand hurrah here. How to answer the HR recruiter on your salary range? Love this question. That when they give it, they say you're over their budget. So what you do is, first of all, ideally, I wouldn't say the number first. So, and if they say, hey, we're going to pay you $120,000 a year, you say, I really hear that. That's possible. We're going to pay you $1 a year. Yep, that's possible. See, we want to live in the world of possibility. Because as soon as we know stuff, as soon as we live in a world of judgment, all these doors start closing. And then later, I think it was Tony we were talking to before, like when they fall in love with us, and they say, hey, will you take this job for $75,000? You can be like, well, how can I do that? And now the recruiter's got a problem because the hiring manager says this is the one we want. And they may say, but on the original form, you said this. You say, oh yeah, that's changed. Employers do this all the time. You can too. We want to live. And by the way, it's not you versus the recruiter. It's you and the recruiter versus the issue of the salary. All sorts of things you can do when it comes to offers. Yeah, you want to live in possibility. Don't close doors, right? The parallels, I've been really happily married for a long time, right? Thankfully. And the parallels to dating here are never cease to amaze, right? So yeah, so somebody walks up and they're like, right? It's pretty rough. Have a cup of coffee. You just never know, right? You just never know. And then if they pull your hair out and start flossing with it, the date's over. But they may be a lovely person. You might fall in love and not even know. All right, guys. I so appreciate your time. You guys have been a great crowd. Again, those of you who've been on the job hunt for a while, and especially those of you who've been watching the replay on 5x speed, just want to acknowledge you. There's nothing great about being on a job search, right? It can be really taxing and draining. And if you've been on the job hunt for a while, just want to acknowledge you. No, there are bright things on the horizon for you. You can get this handled. You don't have to keep doing the same thing you've been doing to get the results you've been getting with the same system. Like if you're looking to get this thing handled, right? September, right? We got about a 2.5 month runway to Thanksgiving. Like, don't wait. Don't wait till Halloween to be doing this because you'll run out of time. Like, do it now. Get this handled. And I'm so cheering for you folks. Really acknowledge you for being here and just like totally in your corner, guys. Take care of yourselves. I'm cheering for you.